Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? We're about 5 minutes early, and I just want to say this. I'm so glad you joined us. So let's start off this way. Let's just do a little house cleaning first. Now, what I want to tell you is Jimmy Diresta is here, okay?
Woo!
But we're going to bring him on and introduce him in about 5-10 minutes. Now, first, let's just, like I said, let's get some house cleaning out of the way. First, I want to thank all the first responders and nurses and doctors out there. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Secondly,
even those construction workers that are out there having to work too, right?
Well, okay. All right. I want to, Brent of BYOT Tools is here, as he always is every week. He's my co-host, and he's going to announce the happy hour special winners today. And he's going to also announce what the happy hour specials are. But first, Brent, let's just start off with who's here. Who has joined us?
Yeah,
so folks, just shout out where you are from in the world.
I already see someone from Dublin, Ireland.
Okay, we have Kay from Indiana. Joanne, how you doing? Ohio does rock, you know. Are you a Browns fan?
From New York.
Go Browns.
Gotta love those Browns, right?
We have Andrea from St. Martin's. I've been there, Brent. Have you been to St. Martin's?
I have, actually. I went there the only time I've ever been on a cruise. That was one of the islands.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's a beautiful, beautiful island.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Who else do we have? Oh, you know what? We have somebody else from she said she's from the Caribbean, but cleared things up with being from St. Martin.
Oh, yeah,
we have Missouri. Sam from Missouri here. Folks, where else are you guys watching from?
We got Atlanta, we got New York, Texas.
We have Tammy from New York, yeah.
Got Philadelphia.
John from upstate New York.
Florida.
The foothills of California.
Oh, they're coming in quick right now.
Texas is here. Okay, let's just recognize a few more people and then we'll move on because it is going very, very quickly.
We have
TJ from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Hey, TJ. We also have looks like Sean from Michigan. How you doing, Sean? All right, let's take one more. And let's say hi to Patricia from El Paso. I've been to El Paso. I've been to Texas. It's one big state, Brent.
I have not actually been to Texas yet. One of these days.
I was driving forever. Okay, let me click out. Okay, so folks, let's do this, okay? We're going to take questions. We're going to bring Jimmy on in about 5 minutes. Have your questions ready, but I want to say this to you. You have to hashtag your questions, otherwise they'll get lost in the feed. So just make certain that you place a hashtag before your questions, otherwise I won't see them, okay? Now, Brent is going to tell you about the happy hour special, the winners today. And so, Brent, take it away, buddy.
Thank you, Leah. And yes, the happy hour special is based upon last week's live stream. And last week's live stream was actually, we had special guest Paul Peck, because he is a drywall and painter, and he actually created his very own knockdown sponge that he actually sells on Amazon. However, he's giving away 3 sponges, and those 3 winners are Bruce San Juan, Rooting for Wisdom channel, and Jimmy Strange. So hopefully they are here. Please send your information to brent@byotools.me. That is my personal email, so please send that directly to me. If not, I will personally try and reach out to you. But if you are watching with us, please send your email to me directly. and we will make sure you get your knockdown sponge.
Okay, the last thing I want to mention about the happy hour specials are hang around to the end of the live stream, because we're going to be giving away happy hour specials today at the very end, and Brent is going to announce those. But for right now, folks, just keep in mind that any questions that you have for Jimmy or myself or Brent, use a hashtag so we can distinguish between questions and just talk that's going on in the live stream. Okay, so let's bring on Jimmy. All right, there we go.
Hello.
Hey Jimmy, how are you?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. And
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and it's nice to see you again. You know, I saw you at Workbench Con, both myself and Brent. And for
a lifetime ago.
It seems like a long time ago. It seems like a long time ago. Before we start taking questions from those in the live stream, Jimmy, Brent has a couple questions for you, and I have a question for you as well. So, Brent, lay it on Jimmy.
Oh, already I gotta just answer or question away. Perfect. Well, Jimmy, your channel is very inspiring. The things you create are incredible, very unique items. But personally, I want to try and actually go back, way back to your very first video on YouTube. Do you remember what your very first video on YouTube was?
I think right now, actually my very first videos were in 2006 and 7. I was trying to promote Hammered, the TV show that I did.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was putting up videos that were like little edits that I was kind of shooting with a pocket Sony camera, because there was no iPhone at the time. And I was putting up like 30-second video clips on the TV show trying to promote it, but none of them caught on. But the first viral video that I got, and I remember being super surprised, I deleted it since, because I was like, I cleaned house when I decided to like change my life and become a YouTuber. At that time, I was just putting stuff up just because other people were doing it and I didn't know any better. So the first video I did that was a viral video I made with hot glue and just bits of scrap wood. I made a roller coaster that would carry cupcakes for a caterer. And it was the Cyclone in Brooklyn, New York. So I made a copy of the Cyclone. Really? With hot glue and just like little sticks that I ripped on the table saw. They were like maybe a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So it looked like an old wooden rickety roller coaster. And I remember, like, I never looked at YouTube. I just put it up and forgot about it. And then about 6 months later, I looked and it had 300,000 views. And I was like, so then from that point on, anytime I put up a video, I put the hashtag roller coaster in it, because apparently roller coasters got a lot of views.
Apparently, right.
And then, so that was 2006 and 7. And then in 2010, I did a TV show. 2011, we put a TV show on Discovery Channel. And so in the fall of 2011, I decided to try YouTube again. So that was when I think the first video I put up was a key, like a clip and a key. And then I deleted all that old stuff. And I was like going forward.
Well, I'll go back to my original question. So I actually did look up, and based upon the oldest tagged video as of right now, it was a foot chair or a foot recliner. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes. So, yeah. I forgot about that video. I made that as I had the ear of Fox TV, and I was trying to get it was a production company that worked at on Fox's lot, and they were looking for creative ideas, and I was trying to get them to put my little fast forward videos as an interstitial on MTV. I was like, can you make these I'll make these build videos and you find places to publish them as like interstitials on. And my inspiration, no one's going to remember this because everybody's like millennial, but do you remember where The Simpsons came from? Does anybody know where The Simpsons came from?
Where they actually came from, originated.
The first time The Simpsons were published was on the Tracy Ullman show, and you would go to commercial and they would show a 10-second clip of the Simpsons family.
Really? Interesting.
And then that got picked up. You guys know Tracy Ullman, the character actor from England. She was very funny. Tracy Ullman had the Matt Groening making these cartoons for in and out of like commercial spots, and it was the Simpsons. So that video was my inspiration. I said, let's put these little like 20-second build videos in and out of bumpers on some TV show that's appropriately and they considered it for about 5 seconds and said, okay, cool, thanks. And then I never heard from them again. And then I put it on my YouTube channel, and it was full of all licensed music. And so I was just playing around with the app. I knew nothing about the app. This was, what year was that posted that you remember?
I'll take a look. I think it was I believe it was 06.
It was around that time. Yeah, around that time, I realized I had a bunch of copyrighted music on there, and that was when they like, you can't play that music. So I went into their app and I added a soundtrack. That was horrible. So
it was 07 actually.
Okay, yeah. So that was when I was just like still dilly dallying, and then it wasn't until almost 4 years later that I decided to do it where I'm at now, and that was because I was doing so many. I should preface this. I was trying to do so many TV shows. I was trying to pitch different concepts. I was making my own videos. And then after the Discovery show went off the air with no explanation, we were doing really good ratings, and they canceled the show with no explanation. They didn't say, you've been canceled because the ratings were bad. You've been canceled because nobody likes you. You've been canceled because this person doesn't like. We had nobody just answered any emails, and that was the end of it. So out of frustration, I started doing YouTube. And that was where it started.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy, because you do a lot of different things. You do restoration, you do maker projects. I've seen your foundry work. There was a video you did where it looked like it was an old brass lamp that you melted down, and I believe you made a mallet with it. Of all the different things that you do you have a favorite? Do you prefer restoration, foundry work? What is it that you prefer to do?
Like of course, woodwork is fun. And when I do a nice multimedia combination, like I just did with my stools, I really enjoy that. When I do a multimedia, when I could get to combine a couple different materials, I really, really enjoy that. Straight up woodwork and dovetails and all that stuff is really beautiful. But I always say I'll start doing dovetails when I retire. And so till then, I'm probably not going to do dovetails. Yeah, so I really do like metalwork and machining, and lately with digital fabrication, getting into like a little CNC machining, that's really rewarding because I honestly, as a maker, my entire life since I was a young boy, all I've ever done is make things for money. I saw CNC as like the dream of like going to the moon. Like I was like, I might as well dream to be an astronaut. And then when YouTube afforded me access to CNC and really Maker Faire, going to Maker Faire and really starting to see that stuff up close. And even like I went to like 3 Maker Fairs before I even thought that I could actually do it. I was like, that's not for me. That's not for me. Like it was like 2 Maker Fairs. And then on the 3rd Maker Faire in California, I was like, I guess I could do that. I mean, I guess I'll just put it all. I bought one. I just put a CNC machine on a credit card for $7,000. I was like, I'll pay that off eventually. And I paid it off right away once I learned how to do CNC work.
I know Brent desires to do that. I noticed that you had a video that you made a stool with the CNC machine.
The metal one?
Shack.
Yep.
For Shack, it was huge.
Yes. I've been making stools a lot lately. My fans joke and they say like, "Oh, what is this? Like the sign channel?" And now it's like the stool channel. I keep making like seats to sit on with no back.
It was huge.
It was, yeah. My buddy works at a toy company. I forget the name of the company, honestly, because he does a lot of licensing. So the big brands are really like what drives his products, not the name of the company. And the company, he licensed Tonka for his company. So he puts out the whole brand of the Tonka line. And he hired Shaquille to be the spokesperson. He was going to be the spokesperson going into Christmas and everything. Oh. And this was a big rollout when we were at Workbench Con. So I made that the week before Workbench Con, and if I wasn't at Workbench Con, of course I would have been there where the stool was. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so I made that for my friend because Shaq was going to spend the day signing autographs, and that's why I waited. That day, that Saturday we were at Workbench Con was the day that Shaq was sitting on that stool. And I waited till the end of the day till I got a couple of good photographs from my brother who happened to be there. My brother is the go-between. He works in the toy business. And so when I got a couple of good photographs that morning, I sent the stills to my friend who does my behind-the-scenes stuff. And then we were able to post that video that afternoon, that Saturday afternoon. The video is ready to go. I just needed a good thumbnail of Shaq. I figured that would push the video.
It was a
There you
good.
go.
Oh, you know, some of the comments are like, "How come Shaquille's not in the video? What the hell? What is this, clickbait?"
Okay. I'll tell you what, let me pull up a question for you, Jimmy. This looks like it's a friend of yours because it's an interesting question.
Oh yeah, I know
He wants to know, are you going to be mounting a bandsaw on the back of a 67 Caddy? Is that for real?
Well,
or is
I
he just
have
pulling your leg?
No, he's right. I bought a 67 Cadillac on Facebook Marketplace the other day, but it's a complete rot box. It may as well like spend its final days in a junkyard, but now it's going to spend the final days in my junkyard. So I'm gonna do a bit of a rat rod restoration on it. I'm gonna put like custom metal in the floor, and we're gonna rewire it, and put switches on the dashboard. It's a 67 Eldorado. It's a 67 Cadillac convertible that is severely rusty, and I saw it for a quick buy, and the guy said he would deliver it because he was like a kind of a car guy. He had a flatbed trailer. It runs and drives, but it needs brakes, and I ripped the interior out since I got it last week. I got it Thursday. And
that
it hasn't
thing
even been a
runs
full
and
week.
drives, and I saw those rusty floorboards. Man, oh man.
So it's a fun project. It's really just it's eye candy for Instagram and a little bit. It's really just to keep me busy. Like I call it my coronavirus. It's my quarantine project. And last night and today, I fixed one of the windows. I pulled the window out and fixed the motor and put it back in this afternoon, just before I came here. And we're gonna do in October. We do the Catskill Mountain Maker Camp up here. We're gonna do the second annual. Hopefully, we don't have to cancel that, but that's going on October 10th. And I jokingly said with Austin, I was like, I'll pull the trunk lid off and we'll mount the bandsaw in the trunk, and I'll just cut things out on the bandsaw out of the trunk of the Cadillac. And he's like, okay, maybe let's do it. So we might do that.
There we go.
We might really do that.
Oh, I love it.
All right,
Yeah.
we got another question for you, Jimmy. And it comes from Ann. She wants to know, what do you think is the best wood to use for a barbecue bench that will hold a Weber kettle grill and be outside in rainy weather?
Well, that's a good question. I think you're going to have to put like some fire bricks between the wood or unless you have some good metal standoffs. You want some thin metal, like it could be thick, but it could be like, half inch by half inch. Yeah. So you want the legs to cool off by the time they get to the wood. So you don't want the heat to radiate, or just put it on stone. But this is the never-ending question of what can I do to my wood that will make it last outside? And I think the ultimate answer is nothing. So you could use any wood you want, as long as it's not going to be in a situation where it's constantly wet and damp. That will cause it to rot. If it has the opportunity to get wet and then dry off and get wet and dry off, I think you'll be okay. Wood will contract and expand and contract, and you might end up with a couple of cracks in it. But go into it knowing there's nothing you can do to prevent wood from getting weathered. There's no paint job. There's nothing.
Yeah,
it's always going to deteriorate.
But potentially, as far as answering the question, maybe also if they do really want to put some type of wood on there, maybe go with some type of Ipe, because Ipe is so dense. And
yeah, Ipe is that's why they use it on boats. Ipe, yeah, it's a good point.
Exactly. Okay. It does extremely well in moist conditions, although it does fade just like any other wood.
It always turns silver. Everything turns silver gray.
Yep, exactly.
Hey, folks, listen, I just want to remind people that if you have a question, do hashtag, because it's going to make it easy for me to distinguish between questions in the comments, questions in the, in the stream, and people just talking. So our next question comes from Mancrafting. He wants to know if you have any powder coating classes at the Catskills Makers Camp.
If I only knew somebody that knew how to powder coat, Mancrafting, do you know anybody that powder coats? Because I don't know anybody. I'm kidding, Chad. Well, hopefully this thing blows over. We didn't schedule any classes up here this summer. We were going to start scheduling classes toward the end of the summer, but where it was obviously going to start cooling off. And unfortunately, this whole thing happened. So now we don't know what's going to happen. We really don't know.
Hopefully when is the Catskills thing? What is the date of that?
The Catskill Mountain Maker Camp takes place at the Blackthorn Resort here in my neighborhood. Me and Austin, the owner's son, who's now like one of the managers at the resort. When Austin realized I moved to his neighborhood, and he was a fan before we got to know each other, so when he realized I moved here, he came and introduced himself to me and said, "Hey, would it be cool if we did an event at my place and you promoted it?" And I said, "Sure, let's do it." And the fun thing about it, it's October 10th and 11th. It's the weekend of Columbus weekend. And the fun thing about it is they have plenty of space. They have over 100 acres. They have 80 rooms to rent. They have over 300 campsites. If you come like in a camper, you have a place to put your car, or you could just set up a tent anywhere. There's like endless amounts of space for tents. And the family owns a property, and they put on the event, and they like to party. So it's really fun going to this place because there's no rules. The rules are, there are no rules, but if you break them, we'll tell you. And that's the rule.
Okay.
Like the event started, and everybody that pulled their cars up to unload their displays and everything, they just left the cars right there. And I'm thinking to myself, because I go to so many of these organized events where there's security guards and rules and regulations and iron fences and chains, I was like, oh, wow, it's their place. They don't care. If they don't care, why should anybody else care? So nobody's doing anything dangerous or anything. But the point I'm making is like, it's really easygoing event. If you can do something dangerous, make sure you and the people near you have your eye protection on. A lot of blacksmithing, a lot of people learning blacksmithing for the first time ever. And also it goes all night long. There's no, like, people will blacksmithing till 3 a.m.
See, now that's something that I really would love to get into myself. In fact, I've been talking to Brent about that very thing. Now, Jimmy, let me ask you this, Jimmy. How long have you been on YouTube? When did you start on YouTube? And did you have any idea that it was going to be as big as it is?
I had no idea. I was not paying any attention to the maker movement that was beginning to bud right at the beginning of when I mean, there was Colin Furze was always on, and the King of Random was there before me, and the Wood Whisperer was there before me. I went on begrudgingly out of anger with the TV business, and I knew Mark was doing it, and I knew Colin Furze. I had seen Colin a little bit, and I was like, you know what? These guys seem to be having success. I can go on YouTube and do this. I really was doing it as a supplement to my portfolio. I wasn't planning. I never expected it to become my main thing. It slowly became my main thing, and now obviously I just basically make content. Content is about 80% of what I do, but the rest is really client work. I put those stools up. My last video on my channel, I make 4 stools. I immediately got an order for 2 of them. So I'm going to make 2 more in the next couple of weeks. And, they'll be several $100s each. I don't know exactly how much yet. But I do a lot of private work like that. Not a lot anymore, because I could do one video. I could talk about, a shaving cream company, and then all of a sudden I make more money than I would in a week's worth of woodwork. So that doesn't come along a lot. There was a couple of years ago, I was doing a lot of those, and they kind of died down a lot, but it's fine. Every once in a while, like now, for instance, I'm working steadily with Lincoln. I'm working steadily with Ferd. I'm trying to get a couple more of those like annual deals. And those are like where I can relax. I don't have to hawk products, and I could just work with products that are a natural integrated thing that I would use anyway. And that's really the dream. It's just to my assistant Aaron jokes with me, and he says, because you're going to be like one of those race car guys. He's like, I'd like to thank God. I'd like to thank BF Goodrich.
BF is always right?
But like my hat will have 13 stickers on it. But you see banners in my shop now, and I proudly display them because they're supporting me. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. I'd still be making boxes and cabinets and things that I can't stand. And I remember making the decision to be I'll never install anything anymore. I remember, like, when I made that, like, it doesn't matter what I do. As long as I don't have to install anything, I will make anything for anybody. So, like, I remember making that decision with my interior designer that I was working with. I was like, I'm not retired, but I will never make anything that needs to be installed. And that is it. I will no longer do any on-site work. And like, that was like me being able to say I'm retired. If I don't have to do on-site work, I don't care. If I spend the rest of my life in my workshop, I'll build until I'm 90. On-site work is real work. And that's what I don't like. Going to someone's house and, working on your knees, making sure you don't scratch the floor or tap a door with a toolbox walking through the house. That level is over for me. Thank you.
Yep, we've all been there.
Jimmy, somebody has a question about rust. And, it's funny because one of the videos that I saw of yours, you were restoring a huge drill press. And it was completely rusty. And so, so they want to know how you go about it.
I don't know if you hire a volunteer that's willing to work for you and do the dirty work. My buddy Rob volunteered to come. Rob Rojas, he volunteered. He's at a university nearby here, and he emailed me and he goes, "Hey, I need something to do between classes. Can I come hang out?" And I said, "Sure." He goes, "I love restoring stuff." So when he showed up, I showed him the drill press. I said, "That's something I've been wanting to do. This is another project I've been wanting to do." And to Rob's credit, I never would have started the drill press. Like 2 days later, he emailed me and goes, "Okay, cool. When can I start the drill press?" I'll start with the drill press. I was like, "Whenever you want." Like, "I'll be there in the morning." So Rob came and he started working on the drill press, and he got me going. It was all in pieces on a pallet. If you saw the video, it was like completely dismantled. It was sitting in the rusty rain for 2 years. It was already rusty when I got it, but it got worse for sitting outside. And Rob really initiated that project. Rust, you really guess you could remove with a wire wheel. It's super messy. You have to take a shower as soon as you're done. It gets everywhere, and it gets completely in your sinuses. If you're not wearing a mask, it gets in your eyebrows, your ears. So it's messy, but that's the only way to do it. And then obviously there's evaporust, which if you can dunk a full part inside of evaporust, that's also a really good solution. But sometimes the parts are too big. You have to just take to them with a wire wheel.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Brent had a question about a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, obviously, I was curious to see what your most popular video was on YouTube. And lo and behold, it was the AK-47 guitar. I wonder why.
Yeah. Well, it's guitars, it's guns, it's my business partner's wife, Jen, she always says, "Can Jimmy actually make videos that do well that aren't weapons?" Is that possible? And I don't think it's possible. All my highest rated videos are some sort of like torture kill device, potentially.
Of course. Shocking.
In disguise as like a builded video.
Yeah. Where did the inspiration behind that one come from?
Actually, this is laying on the floor right next to my chair. I made this last year. It was the Franken axe. I have all my projects are laying everywhere. The video for the guitar, I built that. Wyclef from the Fugees is a friend of a friend, and Wyclef was talking to my friend. He said, "Hey, I want to make this custom guitar. I want to make like Peter Tosh used to have a guitar that looked like an M16, but I want to do a version of that for our current times." And he says, "I know the perfect person." So that's how I got involved with that. My buddy Rob introduced me to Wyclef, and that was really Wyclef's idea. Together we designed it, and I built it, and that was that video.
Amazing. I love
Hey,
that.
Jimmy, I've been noticing there's a lot of comments in the stream about go-karts. A lot of people are talking about go-karts.
Well, July 4th, we're doing a go-kart race at my go-kart track. I bought a go-kart track here in town. It was an abandoned go-kart track. I bought it from the family that owned it, and I opened up the go-kart track July 4th. We're going to have trials. We'll see if people who can get the best score, the best time on the track, and people are invited to come and stay at the Blackthorn Resort. We'll do like all day on Saturday, whatever July 4th is. We'll do all day on that day, and we'll do like just a big hangout. It's just going to be a big meetup, and it's going to be a little tongue in cheek. Hopefully the world is back in motion by July 4th.
Hopefully.
And, we'll see where it goes.
Seems like you got a lot going on, Jimmy. You have a lot going on.
I got to keep busy. I got to keep moving. I want to grow roots. And I'm also always looking for that one thing that's going to make me the money where I could actually retire and not just like stop doing installs. I'll never retire, but I'm always looking for that one thing that's going to be the thing.
Yeah, well, what's that stool going to cost? It's got to be a stool video, right?
What, that final?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's see. Somebody's making saddlebags as their first leather work project. Should I use needs foot oil or saddle lac to protect it? Well, you know a whole lot about that, Jimmy.
Well, honestly, I don't know. You really got to go to the Weaver channel and look at Chuck Dorset. Chuck knows all this chemical stuff. When Chuck and I got together one time in the fall, Chuck knows all the details of the chemicals. I just know how to assemble stuff. I mean, I have concepts of how to put stuff together, but Chuck Dorset really knows the chemical makeup of exactly how these things work. I've been using Top Coat from Weaver Leather. I like it. I used it on the stools. It seems to protect and give a nice texture. It gives it like a nice polish. It's almost like waxing wood. The Top Coat really does a beautiful job. There's all kinds of stuff, and really, honestly, you just gotta get your hands on some of it and just experiment. That's what I would say. And don't be overly uptight about leather. It is so forgiving, and like you do one thing and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that looks great. I really didn't know what to expect. And you could go back and forth. Like if you're going to assemble something in leather, it's super forgiving. You could really hide mistakes really easily, a lot more than people would assume.
Okay, folks, I'm going to do last call. This is last call for questions in the happy hour. And just remember that you have to do a hashtag for me to distinguish the questions from just talk in the room. But I think for right now, I'm just going to say again, Jimmy, I just want to thank you for being part of the live stream.
Of course. Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure talking with you. Looks like we've got one more question here.
I'm really impressed with this setup. How do you guys get the questions to show up on screen? It's really,
that's through StreamYard.
StreamYard.
Okay.
It's very handy, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, when is Jimmy going to get with Snodgrass? He has used I don't know what the Carter stabilizer is, but I'm supposed to get with Alex maybe today. I don't know. He said somewhere around the 20th. I hope I'm not blowing him off. Me and Alex Snodgrass are going to do a chat together. I got to double check with him.
All right. Well, folks, listen, it's last call. And Jimmy, I just want to thank you for being part of the live stream. And man, if there's ever anything that I can do for you, please.
Oh, the 24th. I'm sorry. The 24th, I'm going to do a video with Alex Snodgrass. So that's in a few days from now.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I'm going to have to find
Hey, can I ask you both a question?
Yes, sir.
Lay it on us.
Just one and the other. How did you guys get on YouTube, and what was the impetus there?
Leah, you go first.
Okay, mine was very, life does not travel in a straight line. I will tell you that. I was a trades instructor working with the unions here in Seattle. And I realized that they weren't teaching shop in school anymore. And folks, everybody needs to know how things work. And I thought, this is not just something for, apprenticeship. This is something that everybody needs to know. So I decided to start a website as a free resource for folks that just wanted to learn how to repair and fix and modify. And I did a crazy video to stream the video into on the website because of the bandwidth. I did just a crazy video about a tape measure. It blew up. It's funny how things work. So that's how I got started on YouTube. It wasn't even anything that I had ever thought about. What about you?
How long ago?
What about you, Brent?
Or Jimmy, I think she started back 7 years ago, right, Leah?
Okay.
But
it was about 6 years ago that I got started.
Yeah, me personally, so I have a construction background. I've always worked with my hands. And back in 2010, I purchased my first home. And it was, the ugly duckling. It needed everything. So I literally gutted the entire thing, every single piece of plumbing, all 3 bathrooms, the deck, the kitchen, gutted. And then I started basically building from the ground up from there. And personally, I knew construction, but I wasn't a perfectionist and I didn't know how to do everything. So I started using YouTube quite often on how to do certain things. And lo and behold, at a certain point, I just could not find a video on a specific subject anywhere. I was like, how is there not a video out there to help me with this problem? And it wasn't the first video I did on my channel, but it kind of got the ball rolling. Like, maybe, YouTube's helped me so much. I want to put something positive out there to help others, especially the individuals, because YouTube's been such a benefit to me personally. I wanted to help others. And lo and behold, one video led to another, and now I recently quit my job and I'm doing full YouTube full time now.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, folks, listen, I want everybody to hang on to the end of the live stream because Brent is going to announce today's happy hour special. And I just want to say goodbye, Jimmy, and thank you so very much. We're finished unless there's, wait a second, looks like there could be one last question.
Go for it.
Well, someone wanted to know what was your first project, and I think, Jim, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my first project.
I have one last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jimmy, personally, I do have a man crush on Nick Offerman. What is he like in person?
Nick is he's like a watered down version of he's a watered down version of Ron Swanson. He really is.
Yes, that's perfect.
He is. He's the ideals of just taking care of your own business and just do your own thing and don't be stupid, be kind, be firm, don't be dumb, and be creative, be in charge of your. He obviously advocates for a lot of those things, and he's a sweet guy.
No, it's great to hear.
Yeah.
Are you working on a go-kart yourself, Jimmy?
I was working with the guys at First Build in Louisville, Kentucky. It's a First Build makerspace. They were going to build a go-kart from a Mazda engine, starting with a Mazda rotary engine, and from a car. And they were going to put on a go-kart. And they were going to ship it here, and I was going to put some decorations on it. So I was going to do the easy part. They were going to do the hard part. That was the plan. But I have 2 go-karts here that I'm going to try and get in shape for the event.
Okay, here's the last question, Jimmy. And it has to do with, you moved to upstate New York. Somebody wanted to know what led you to buy in upstate New York.
So it's funny. Everybody assumes, a lot of people wrongfully assume I bought this house with my big YouTube fortune that I got. Somewhere on the internet it says I'm worth $16 billion. It's not true.
Okay.
It's only $14 billion.
I bought this house in the summer of 2004. And I almost went bankrupt that summer. I committed to buying this house, and we were doing all the paperwork. And I said to the bank, if I can buy it, no money down. And they said, it seems like we can do that. So I was able to buy the house, no money down. That same summer, the company I was working for went out of business. I was doing freelance prototyping and product development for a company, and they went out of business. So I immediately, in the middle of the summer, I just immediately started working for myself, which I had done on and off my whole life. But that was led to me just being a freelancer from summer of 2004 till now. I only do side deals with companies. I'm like, if you want me, I'll be there for you. Just give me a monthly payment, and I'll make sure whatever work needs to. I don't have to go to the office. I gave up doing that in 2004 when that company went out of business. And so I bought this house up here from a friend of my dad's. And the dream was always to build a workshop in the backyard. And I just finally was able to do that with YouTube money. Prior to that, I was always just chasing my tail, living paycheck to paycheck and, just trying to pay for this house. So between this house and my workshop in the city, it was every penny that I had. And now I have a little bit more extra money, but I'm also able to just do what I want now. It's like every video I make is usually something for myself, for the house, for the buildings, for something. So I'm really honored to be able to do that. And it's the fans. Thanks for the fans.
Love hearing that.
Thank you.
Jimmy, the last, it seems like it's more of a comment than a question.
Yeah.
And that comes from Mark. I don't know if it's a joke or not. I've never heard of a whirly gig. That's
the thing where the wind blows, because I made a couple. The wind blows, and the guy chops wood. I made 2. I made one in metal and one wood for the YouTube channel.
I love it.
Well, I guess somebody wants to know if you're going to be doing another one soon.
I might actually. I was just talking to Taylor the other day. I was like, maybe I should make pieces of a whirly gig to sell as a kit. I'm going to make up a thing. And
there you go. All right.
Oh, my new assistant worked on Mythbusters. I see that. Yeah, Aaron was a former behind the scenes guy at Mythbusters. Aaron came here last summer and took a class, and he said he needs a change of pace and change of scenery. And I said, maybe you'll end up working here. And we kept in touch, and he decided to move here and come work for me. So Aaron's a great guy. Former Marine. He served the country I think he was in the Marine Corps for 10 years. He was overseas, and he's He worked for MythBusters. He knows Adam personally, and he's a sweet guy.
Okay. All right, folks. This is last call, and we're going to say goodbye to Jimmy. And then Jimmy, just thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you so
Really
much, Jimmy.
appreciate it. And
Thank you, guys. I'll come back anytime. Let me know. I'll come back.
okay. Thanks again. All
Will I hit
right.
the red X
Take-
now and
take
say
care.
goodbye?
What's that?
Hit the red X and say goodbye. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
Jimmy. Okay, folks, listen. This is the last call. We're gonna do what are we doing? Oh, we've got the happy hour special. Brent is gonna announce it. There were a couple questions that were directed more toward home improvement. I'll take a couple of those questions. Well, Brent, are you ready to announce the happy hour specials? Because we're going to be doing the happy hour special. We're going to give away something right now.
Yes,
So,
we are. Are you ready? That's the real question.
I am ready.
Okay, perfect. So let me just write this down. So, perfect. So this week's happy hour special is going to be provided by MakerPipe. And MakerPipe is a very unique, very creative product that you can really make anything you want. It's a structural aspect. I made a very unique garage storage system on wheels with it. And I put a link in the description box below this video. So if you do want to check them out personally, please check the links below because you can physically see what the product is and see how many possibilities there are with MakerPipe. Luckily for us, they wanted to be our sponsor this week and do the giveaway this week. So inevitably, they're going to be giving away 2 of their multi-kits, structural pipe multi-kits. And those 2 winners of this week's drawing is Work by Solo and Orantan. Excuse me, Oranatan. Orantan. So those are the 2 winners.
Orantan, did you say was one of the people?
That is correct. So I
right
will be
there.
That's correct.
Okay, so what do they have to do?
So they have to email me personally at brent@byotools.me and send me their contact information as well as their address. That way I can then send it to MakerPipe and they will send you out a perfect little care package. So just to say thank you for supporting this channel and the makers out there. So please send it to brent@byotools.me and we will make sure that gets sent out to you here shortly.
Okay, and who was the other person? Who was the other winner?
Works by Solo.
Okay, I'm looking here. Oh, I see.
We got them.
Works by Solo. Woohoo! Works by Solo says. Okay, so Works by Solo, congratulations. If you heard Brent, he told you exactly what you needed to do. You're going to love it. And Brent, you placed a link in the description of the video of a project that you did. And I got to tell you, people, I thought he did a fantastic job. I've got stuff, and I've got a project that I'm working on with MakerPipe as well. I'm excited. I can't wait to get started on my project. Brent, there were a couple questions that came up in the live stream that I just want to take a moment to address.
Please.
In the beginning of the live stream, I wanted to take advantage of the fact that Jimmy Diresta was here, and that's why we were just taking questions that were aimed at Jimmy Diresta in the beginning. But somebody, Brent, wants to know where you're from. That was one of the questions. Where are you from, Brent?
Where I'm from. Dun dun dun. So I was not born in Seattle, but I definitely grew up here. So I was actually born in Hawaii, in Kona on the Big Island. So my parents actually met in Hawaii. My dad was a chef and my mom was a waitress. And they met there, they got married there, they lived there for about 7 years. And then they had me. And eventually, when they had me, they decided, hey, all of our family is over on the West Coast. So why don't we go back home and have some family time? So inevitably, since then, I have basically grown up in the Seattle, Washington area my whole life. Leah? Oh, Leah? Uh-oh. Did you freeze? Hey everyone, sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know what just happened, but we lost Leah. Leah's gone, not forever, but she will be back. So inevitably, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Again, sorry about all the randomness that just occurred because something on her end went haywire, technical difficulties. But in any case, thank you so much. We will be back. Thank you, Jimmy Diresta, for joining us. It was a pleasure meeting him in person at Workbench Con, excuse me. And that was a very amazing experience. And then it was great to actually have him on the channel and helping us answer your questions. So Thank you all so much. I apologize for the fact that we had technical difficulties just now, but we'll be back ready to go next week with John Peters. So thank you. Oh, wait, real quick. Oh my goodness, Leah, did we get you back?
I don't know what happened there.
I haven't ended the broadcast, so would you?
Okay, sorry about that, folks. There was problems with the StreamYard. I don't know if you mentioned that, Brent. My guess is
Yes,
you did.
I did.
Okay. So again, my apologies. I'm glad it didn't happen when our guest was on. Just happened to us. That's all.
Hey, that's probably better. I'd rather have it happen to us than with our guests. So that's just fine. I was actually just signing out of the live stream at this point, but if there was anything else you wanted, please do so.
Oh, you know what? What we need to do is we have to mention next week's guest.
I just did. I just told everyone that John Peters will be joining us next week.
That's right. And we got a great happy hour special, folks, for next week. You want to come for that because it's going to be really something good, something really good. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited about, I was excited to have Jimmy here today. It was a lot of fun. I learned he's a great guy, you know, and I'm looking forward to talking to John Peters as well next week. Folks, you want to tune in for that. Yeah. Did you answer the question about where you were from? Sorry that we got cut off, folks.
I did answer that, and I believe that I was still on at that point when it was airing. So I did answer that question, but thank you for actually getting back on the live stream.
Okay, well, I guess it's time to say goodbye. All right, unless, of course, you know, Brent, do you want to take some more questions, or do you just want to?
If there's a few more that you want to take, we still haven't hit our hour, so we have yet to fulfill our happy hour as of yet. So happy to take a few more questions if you want.
Okay, let's just take a couple more, and then we'll say goodbye, folks. Someone wanted to know about nail pop.
What was it?
Someone wanted to know about the best way. Let's see here. Somebody wanted to know about nail pop. It's kind of hard to go back through the questions, but what I'll say about nail pop, what I think is the easiest way, believe it or not, to remedy nail pop is what I do is I take a roofing nail, because it has such a large head to it. Mm-hmm. And I drive that right on top of the nail that's popped. You can do it that way, and then you just make the repair, or you can take a screw, and your best bet is to use a drywall screw and just snuggle up close to the nail that's popped and drive that in, and then just mud over it. And that's what I've done about nail pop.
I got a question here for you, Leah. You see that one?
Mm-hmm.
Leah, ideas for a bouncy floor on a pier and beam foundation, crawl space under the house. Have any thoughts?
Cross bracing. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's what I would do. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, that's what I've done in the past as well. So here, Jane, we have you ever done a handicap shower stall with wet floor?
It's been a long time. It's been about 20 years, to be honest with you. So yes, I have. Mm-hmm. But it's been a while.
Any tips on that?
Nothing. See, the technology that I used 20 years ago is obsolete today, because they have I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yep.
You know, they have so much. They have so much available now for DIYers to just make the process really easy.
Yep.
You know, I was dealing with a mud deck. People don't even do mud decks anymore. I mean, you can, you know, but now everything is prefab. Everything is prefab.
I mean, prefab just makes it so much easier and much less time consuming when actually accounting for all the install purposes.
But to be honest with you, if I was going to put that kind of situation in my own home, I would just do a mud deck, because I know that it would last forever, and I feel comfortable working with that material. So, but that's just not the way DIYers would want to do it.
Right. We got one more here. What is the best way to remove existing molding? Do I need to get a reciprocating tool, or just
I
pry it off?
I would pry it off. That would be really difficult to use a Sawzall on. It would be tricky. It would be hard, you know.
Yeah.
So no.
My main tip on that is making sure you take a very sharp razor blade and score the top of the molding first, because one, it might have some type of caulking to it, and two, if there's paint, then that paint potentially will just rip off the wall as you're ripping off the molding. So make sure you score the top of the molding first before you do so, because that will just give you a nice clean line when you're removing the molding.
I think that's a great idea. I agree with you. I agree with you. Is there anything else, folks? Is there anything else?
We got one more question that just came through. Do you think laminate flooring would be okay for the inside of a wooden shed on the roof?
No.
Wooden shed on the roof.
Do you think laminate flooring would be okay for the inside of a wooden shed on the roof? I don't think.
I don't know why there would be a wooden shed on the roof, but maybe it was. Are you any thoughts on that one?
I think it's just a typo. I mean, this is what I will say to you. Okay, laminate flooring isn't water resistant. It's not waterproof. It's not water resistant. If that's something you want to do, you want to go with flooring inside your shed, you might want to think about vinyl plank flooring. That's what I would do. That is what people are using nowadays in kitchens, in shower areas, in bathrooms. It's luxury vinyl planking.
VLT, and I know all about it because I'm just about to do a video on vinyl flooring. Okay. So I will definitely suggest vinyl flooring, especially with the fact that it's waterproof. You know, at least some of them are, and the majority of them are extremely beautiful these days. I mean,
it's beautiful. It is.
Types of textures that they can get that make it look like a real wood floor is incredible. And it's, like I said, for the majority out there are waterproof. So yes, that would be much better than a laminate floor.
And don't be confused by the name vinyl, okay? Luxury vinyl planking is, like Brent said, it is beautiful. You wouldn't even know. You don't even know it's vinyl, okay?
Yep.
So check that out. Brent, what do we got? Anybody else?
I think that's it for this evening.
Okay. Folks, don't forget to join us next week for our live stream. And like Brent has indicated, John Peters is going to join us, and we're going to have a great happy hour special. So I just want to say goodbye. And thanks, Brent. Thanks for doing this with me. I appreciate it. And
no problem.
I'll see you next week. All right.
Sounds good. See you then. Thanks, everyone.